Okay, good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam, and we're on a high this evening, are we not? Congratulations, the Lionesses, England, women's European champions. How about that?
I feel very emotional.
How about that?
For those of you that were watching my Insta stories, apologies for the crying.
Did you have a little bit of a moment there? I think genuinely, I had a little bit of a moment as well there.
I went.
We genuinely have been following them, haven't we, over the last few weeks? And I admit I didn't really watch a lot of women's football in the lead up to it, but I thought, right, we're going to get behind them. You know, there's no other football going on, so why not get behind them? And the kids have enjoyed it as well, more to the point. And wicked, they won. Unbelievable. Great character as well on the night, especially to get pulled back to 1-1. And then a couple of fresh legs. I didn't know if they had the legs, actually. They look knackered.
It's funny, isn't it? I think because as just a spectacle of sport, what a phenomenal thing to happen. To have Wembley sold out in that way. Phenomenal.
82,000, which was apparently the biggest attendance, the biggest capacity crowd for any European Championship game, men or women ever.
But it's
incredible.
Me, it's more than just that. And I think part of the reason I got so emotional was because as a girl growing up in this country, women's football was just not a thing.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
It existed, obviously. I kicked a ball around as a child, mostly with my brother, and I spent my afternoons watching my brother play and then watching Spurs play, going to White Hart Lane to see the men. And to sit there and watch the women lift the first trophy since 1966 at a time where women's rights are so much in the press and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely right.
With our daughter, it's just, to me...
Who was loving it, by the way, wasn't she? She was, and Max was as well, right? But she in particular was just like loving it. And that was so good. Honestly, brilliant to see.
It's just one of those moments where it's like, as a girl, as a 6-year-old like Evie is now, if somebody had said to me, look, here's England women, that would have been so inspiring for me as a youngster, and it would have increased my love of sport in a way that I didn't really have growing up. You know, I like to swim and do very traditional girly things like go to ballet, but I didn't ever really, apart from going to watch Spurs, I didn't really get involved in playing it. And so to see the opportunities that hopefully this creates now for women in this country and around the world, and young girls to go, if you want to go and do this, you can, in the same way that every young boy or most young boys dream of being on the football stage winning something for their country. Just to me, it was everything. And I was like, I've totally gone, because it's more than just this squad of women lifting a trophy.
Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? And Gabby Logan, who was the BBC anchor, I think she said at the end, she said, you think it's all over? You know, this is just the beginning. Get along to a WSL game, even if it's only one per season, just get along to one, support the sport and get involved. And genuinely now people will, because, you know, you've seen it.
Max, as part of his Spurs membership, gets free tickets to go and watch the Spurs women play, and we've not done it yet, because...
And you sit there and you think, well...
But why not?
Why
have we not done it?
It's shame on us for not doing it, but we absolutely will now. I think it's brilliant. So listen, well done, the Lionesses. Absolutely fantastic.
We heard you roar, ladies.
For so many reasons, it was brilliant watching that. And I thought actually we might be a little bit late coming on tonight because the kids wanted to watch it, but we basically said to them, look, soon as the ladies win it and you've seen the celebrations, right, get yourselves to bed. Up they go, and they were great.
You put to bed while I had a little moment.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. It was brilliant. And talking of little moments, Sam, one thing that we have managed not to do is to leave the microphone live while the start stream was going on. I don't know if you remember, cast your mind back to a couple of weeks ago, we had a little faux pas.
No, we left it live at the end. No, right. No, hang on. I won't tolerate this. Who had a little faux pas?
Oh, it's 100% my fault. I mean, I'm in charge of all the tech, aren't I, here on a Sunday night? So it's 100% my fault. So thank you to anybody that stuck around right to the end, and I mean right at the end, of the stream we did a couple of weeks ago, because we managed to leave the microphone on. Thank God we didn't say anything too bad. Do you remember? It was in the middle of the heat wave, if you remember.
I was so hot.
It was so hot in this room. And by the way, we've got the windows open tonight because it ain't exactly cool at the moment. So the windows are open. The door is open.
So anything could happen.
If a cat comes in or a child comes in, listen, we will deal with it, because at the moment I'm feeling like it's a reasonable temperature. 2 weeks ago, I was melting in it.
I was like, I said to you, didn't I? You were like, we shut the door. I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to die.
Yeah,
I've got to shut the door. I'm going to
die. Right. We will talk about, on this stream, Sam, pre-season predictions. This is one of the streams that I particularly like doing, guys, and we're going to get into it pretty quickly after we've had a little bit of Community Shield chat, because we need you guys. We need you guys tonight more than ever on the FPL Family live stream, because what we do, for those of you that are new to FPL Family. What we do at the beginning of every season in this stream, the one before game week 1, and this is the last one we're going to do before it all kicks off.
By the way, how have we
next
got to before
Friday.
game week 1 already?
It's come round quick,
all
isn't
of
it?
a sudden, here.
I feel like a couple of days ago I had 4 weeks until the season
that's
starts.
what I mean.
And now it's like, oh, it's Friday. Oh, right, okay. Better do better like get my team locked in. Are you?
No.
How
no,
locked
I'm
in
not,
are you?
No, I'm not.
A question the whole chat, everyone wants to know, is Colback still in the team? Of course he ain't.
Colback is basically been in and out.
Of course he ain't.
No, but I think yesterday when I sent you the picture over we're going to use today, he wasn't.
Right.
There was a draft earlier where he was
Oh,
back.
for goodness sake. Right, well...
He's in and out.
Of course, guys, we're going to talk about our drafts a bit later on and how Colback is doing in your team and whether I've still got Bruno Fernandes and all that sort of good stuff. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, we sat here and you said, absolutely not going to be a template. Look how different our teams are going to be. I said there absolutely is a template forming, and we're going to see later on whether our teams are now starting to look pretty similar to a lot of other people's on Twitter. From what I'm seeing, and I know it's just a Twitter thing, but from what I can see, there absolutely is a template, guys, and we're going to talk through that and also the benefits of going slightly off-piste with that template as well, because if you can break that template and find the player that's not template that does well, then you'll be doing very well indeed. Go on.
Colback.
I'd be surprised if it's Colback, put it that way. Thank you, Kens, for the super chat. Good evening on the day football came home. Fair play to the Lionesses. We're out of this world. And Salah looks even sharper. And no World Cup for him will help. We're going to talk about the Community Shield in just a second. And thank you, Raheem Khan, who's been a member now for 5 months, by the way. And you can, of course, become a member of the FPL Family YouTube channel. There is a little join button next to the subscribe button. If you want to become a member, have your comments highlighted. There's a few little extra bits and pieces as well behind the scenes. Like Raheem, then you'd be very welcome to do so ahead of the new season. Raheem says, well done, the Lionesses. I panicked for a sec, watched the game and thought that I saw Sam in the crowd, meaning there would be no live stream. You thought you were in the crowd? Obviously
I mean,
not.
I actually genuinely... So one of our best friends did take his little boy today, Evie's godfather, and he said to me about a year ago, he was like, Sam, the tickets are going on sale for the women's final. Should we buy it? And I was like, yes, let's do that. But it fell on... it's my sister-in-law's birthday today, and I faffed around kind of going, oh, that might be a family thing. Like, maybe I should get tickets for one of the early rounds.
Yes.
God, do I wish that I bought those tickets
gone.
now.
Yes, wish you'd have gone. And Simon Burdett, hi Simon, he's in with the super chat saying, I'm just here for the Colback chat. He's just here for the Colback chat.
Well, it'll come up a lot, I'm sure. Tonight.
Well, and I'm hoping we're still going to see you, Simon, on Friday when we go to Fantasy Football Fest. So anybody that's going to Fantasy Football Fest next Friday, we will see you there. We will be there with bells on, as we usually are, to Gianni and Mark and Ed's event down in London. More on that a bit later on, including a giveaway. We have 2 tickets to Fantasy Football Fest to give away, guys, and we'll talk about that a bit later on, and I will tell you what you need to do to win those tickets to Fantasy Football Fest. But needless to say, you need to be able to get to London on Friday. Is the key thing.
We can't pay for you to come to London.
That's one of the things you do need to do. We will. These are tickets you can win, but you've got to be able to get to London on Friday. 2 tickets.
So you can bring a friend.
Football Fest. You can bring a friend. You've got to be able to get there on Friday, and you've got to be subscribed to the channel. There's one other thing I need you to do, but we'll talk about that later. But if you're not subscribed and you fancy winning some tickets to Fest, get subscribed to the channel. Sam, before we talk about predictions, before we talk about our draft, before we talk about where your head's at in terms of next Friday, Community Shield, did we learn anything? Did anything come up in the Community Shield that you thought, actually, I was scouting that particular player and now I feel differently about him?
Grealish, Foden. In fact,
how do you feel differently about these guys now?
City generally,
yes.
I think. I went into that game thinking, right, I need to learn some stuff about... Well, I said to you, didn't I, on the drive home on Saturday, we went to see the Minions, and then on the way home, we came back to watch the Community Shield. And I said to you, as we were driving back, I said, I'm particularly focused in on the City midfield and also Luis Diaz. Those were the players that I was kind of really interested in watching. And I feel like I did learn quite a lot. I feel like I learned that the pet roulette is still going to be in full force this summer. Feels like it.
You know, how do you make? What did you make of the? So it was Grealish and Mahrez first half with Haaland, and it was
59th minute, wasn't
Foden and Alvarez for the final half an hour or so.
Thought they were better with Foden and Alvarez.
Yes. Now, was that because we're an hour into the game, Liverpool maybe tiring a little bit, and maybe Alvarez and Foden come on and made a difference because they were fresher? Or did you just generally see more from, in particular, I'm interested in the Foden and Grealish thing on the left-hand side? Because if Pep is going to line up like that in game week 1, which you've got to think with Haaland in there, he's probably going to. It'd be very difficult to pick Foden or Grealish for your FPL team,
That's
isn't
the
it?
problem, isn't it? Is that now what is going to happen over the course of this season, or if we know Pep, which I like to think
Which
that
we think we do,
is going to rotate, isn't he? He's going to rotate this because he's got. I mean, the thing that City have in their favour is that they've got this amazing squad of really talented players, and there will be a lot of rotation amongst those players. And I was reading an article about how apparently when Haaland signed, he was promised he wouldn't be forced to play every single match because of his injury ravaged past and what have you. Because apparently one of his concerns about coming to the Premier League was about the amount of games that you have to play.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be mass rotation in that Manchester City team, particularly around those midfielder spots, it puts me off again because I'm in a place where there are a lot of 8 million midfielders. For example, look at Mason Mount, who also played in a friendly yesterday and scored again in that friendly. Who you would expect to play most of the 38 games of the season without getting the reduced minutes that come from substitutions. So I am put off by the rotation for sure. Again, it happens every year, doesn't it?
Yeah. So because of that, are you therefore more likely to go for Haaland in the middle and up front in your FPL team because he's presumably far less rotation prone, isn't he?
Can't have Haaland and Kane.
Difficult. Yeah, difficult. You still think it's a straight choice between them two?
I think it has to. I mean, you can. It is physically possible to build a draft that has Kane and Haaland in it, but then you probably can't have Jesus.
Yes.
So you have to really carefully consider it.
Do you know what? That's a good point because over this weekend I did do a 3-mium draft. There's this thing going around on Twitter about can you have 3 premiums and still have a decent team. I thought I cracked it because I had Kane, Haaland, and Salah in my team, and I looked at it. I thought, yeah, that's actually not bad for a 3-mium.
Trent as well, didn't it?
I had Trent and I had, I think, Trippier, and one of my sacrifices was I didn't have Cancelo, I had Walker instead. So that was one sacrifice you've got to make. I think I had maybe Rashford and Martinelli, and I possibly couldn't have Diaz in midfield. But anyway, I managed to get a reasonable looking draft with the 3 of them in there. And the thing that I looked at it and I just thought it hasn't got Gabriel Jesus.
No.
And having and obviously Arsenal Twitter is going crazy as usual. Bless you. Well done for not sneezing into the microphone.
Excuse me.
As usual, Arsenal social media is going bonkers. You've got Arsenal Fan TV on a TikTok video I saw earlier talking about the quadruple. It's stupid as usual, but strip all that back because when you're analysing Arsenal, you have to do that. You have to strip all the nonsense back. Actually, what they're doing on the pitch looks pretty good. Now, I know it's pre-season, but the energy and the enthusiasm that Jesus seems to have brought to that side and the confidence about having a guy that's putting the ball in the net. Let's talk about him a bit later on because I do want to finish the Community Shield chat, but that stopped me from doing the 3-mium. I actually preferred it with Jesus and spreading my funds. Now, of course, I've still got to then pick between Haaland and Kane, which is more difficult, but we'll talk about my draft a bit later on. Thoughts on Liverpool in the Community Shield? I don't think we really learnt too much more about Trent and Salah other than you probably got to have them in your team, those two.
Yeah, but I think the conversation between Robertson and Diaz becomes a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, on the basis, yeah.
Thought that Robbo had a better game than Diaz did. I thought Diaz did fine. I didn't think he was that brilliant. I thought Salah was... I mean, the comment earlier in the Super Chat was that Salah was outstanding. I thought he was okay. Like, I thought he had an okay game. I think I've seen Salah play better than that.
Well, I think Klopp come out afterwards, didn't he? He said neither team was really at their peak.
But the thing is with Salah, and you said to me during the game, didn't you? You were like, he's been all right here. Yeah. But he's got a goal and an assist, would likely have got 3 bonus points. Yeah. So suddenly you're on 13 on points.
But that's why you have Salah in FPL, because he can have an average game and get a double-digit haul, just like he did. Yeah, right? So assist, goal, 3 bonus points.
You're basically at a point now where Trent and Salah, I think, are absolute... I said this in my interaction after the game, if you watched that. Salah and Trent are absolute locks.
Can you? Sorry to interrupt you. Can you make a case for no Salah? And the reason I asked that question is because there has been a lot of that this week in the FPL community. I think Mark in Black Box was talking about not having Salah for the beginning of the season because that's the way he wants to play the game. Wants to play it a bit differently this season. That's absolutely not a wrong way to play it.
I couldn't make a case
for you. Is that I can't either. I'll be honest. I can't either.
That's just, it's not a thought that would ever enter my head to do it. I think that Salah will start well. I think that Liverpool will start well. Salah is a player that doesn't have the distraction of the World Cup at all. He'll be playing with consistent form throughout the season. Klopp won't need to worry too much about that.
He just looks happy in his pre-season games, and I know that obviously I watch a lot of the inside training videos. I watch a lot of Liverpool YouTube at this stage of the season because we're playing a lot of pre-season friendlies. I know we're losing tonight, guys. I ain't asked about that because apart
Second
from
string, isn't it?
It's Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, and then the under-18s basically because all of the boys played yesterday, right? So I've not asked about that. But what I did see yesterday was a happy, reasonably fit-looking Mo Salah. Now, don't get me wrong, both he and Diaz, and I disagree with you a little bit. I thought Diaz looked really, really good. He just didn't get any FPL points. But he was, if it was an FPL game, he was drifting quite centrally because what was happening, certainly in that first half, certainly in the first 35 minutes when he started like a house on fire and then faded a bit, Diaz, because I get the feeling he hasn't got an off button, Diaz. I get the feeling when he's fully fit, he's going to be an absolute live wire. But he doesn't sort of conserve his energy. He just goes 100%, and that's all he knows. But in that first half in particular, he was drifting centrally and sort of getting in Firmino's way a little bit. Notice how Firmino wasn't that useful in that, and he sort of was dropping into the 10 a little bit. But what that was allowing Robbo to do was Robbo then had tons of space to go into because Diaz was taking the fullback and Mahrez wasn't tracking back. So that's why I think we saw Robbo. And of course, everybody on Twitter and I myself were just like, oh, got to have Robbo now after this performance. Well, how many games are we going to see that where Diaz, I think, was being told tactically to drift central because Klopp knows that Mahrez ain't going to be tracking back? And I wonder whether we might see a bit more, if you see a bit more balance, you see Diaz a bit wider in a normal Premier League game, maybe we don't see Robbo with quite so much time and space. But listen, that's not me saying ignore Robbo, because he is still $1 million cheaper than Diaz, and that conversation now has to be had, definitely.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Is that I think, we get into a stage, and I said to you yesterday, as we were driving back from the cinema, and Jesus was just going mental again, and I was like, I need $1 million. I've got to find $1 million, because I didn't have him. This was this team that you're going to see in a little bit. It's the first time I've had Jesus in a draft.
Yeah.
Not because
You've had Tony up to now, haven't you?
Had Tony up until now.
Who you still think is a good pick? I think he's still a good pick.
Still think is a good pick.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'm getting to a point where I'm looking at Jesus thinking, you are owned. But last time I checked, 65% of the game. 65% of the game. Can you imagine the damage? And I know you shouldn't think about it in this terms, but the damage that will do to my rank in the opening game weeks of the season, just not owning Jesus, is not worth it. Not with the form that the man is on. If it was when it was Werner a couple of seasons ago, I didn't do it. Yeah. But he was over 60% owned or 50% owned, and I was like, I'm not going there because I haven't seen enough from him, haven't seen a performance. But that's not the case here with Jesus.
Yeah.
We're seeing
proven Premier League striker.
Performance. He's proven in the Premier League. He's on great form, and he's playing for an Arsenal side that have made good signings and are making good progress this summer. So it's not a compromise that I'm prepared to make. Therefore, I had to find $1 million. So that conversation between Diaz and Robertson is also not something that I've had this summer, because I've been very keen to go with the offensive Liverpool double up as opposed to the defensive one. But I'm looking at my team now thinking, there's definitely scope here for moving some of that budget out of Diaz and putting it into Robertson instead.
I know Trent got the goal, and it was a classic Trent performance, wasn't it? I thought he played very well. I wouldn't say it was his best game, but then pre-season friendly, for want of a better phrase. Got the goal.
Yeah.
Not on all set pieces. Notice.
No.
Robertson took a lot of set pieces as well, so they're obviously going to share them this. That is, I think, going to be something that splits the community a little bit. Diaz for 8 million or Robbo for your third Liverpool. It's very difficult, I think.
Do you have to have 3 Liverpool going into the start of
the season? I think you do. I think you do. However, there is a case for not, because if you keep one of those Liverpool places free, then if somebody like a Darwin Núñez comes to the fore, then you've got a slot potentially you can go and get him. What did you make of his performance over the weekend?
I mean, I actually really like him. I really like watching him.
Looks alright, didn't he?
I like the way that he is. I think he fits in very well with that Liverpool style of play. I like his slightly aggressive, die on the pitch kind of attitude that he seems to bring with him. I think he'll be a real talent. But I think he's going to take time to bed in. They were talking about how the language barrier has been an issue with him arriving.
Totally.
And of course it is.
Do you think he's going to start game week 1?
No.
I think he'll start Bobby game week 1. Yeah. No, I think he'll start Bobby game week 1.
I was going to say, I think he will too.
Yeah. 100% he'd be on, Darwin.
Yes, but I think, until the language is better until he's formed his understanding with the team. Like, I think it was slightly different in January when Diaz arrived, because you really needed him, because you had injuries elsewhere and you had other things to do, and he could bed them in he could bed them in ways, and of course you had the African Cup of Nations as well, so you could bed him in. He had to go in there quickly to replace the two that were off at the Cup of Nations, and then when they arrived back, he could go a bit more slowly on who was playing share minutes. Whereas I think with Nunez, Nunez,
I think, Nunez.
I think you can see how it can be a slow in on 60 minutes, 70 minutes for a couple of games.
I must admit, I was softening a little bit on that game week 1 piece, because before the Community Shield I was like, Firmino's starting here, therefore he's going to start in game week 1. I think because of what we saw from Darwin, I would say there's I guess I'm 30-35%, maybe 40 that he starts against Fulham. Not enough, frankly, to put him on my FPL team for now.
No.
But I do feel like in a team that creates as many chances as we do, you've got a front man like that. It's just law of averages suggests that he's going to get some chances, right? He'll get some chances, no doubt about it. Anyway, the Liverpool win at the weekend means that, we are looking sharp. And listen, I'm not under any illusions. We've lost a lot of Community Shields over the last few seasons, and I always go, it's pre-season friendly, so it doesn't matter. I'm not about to change that now just because we won one. First one we've won since 2006, by the way. But obviously happy to get the win. We look sharp. We look hungry.
Hopefully we'll be playing against you in it next year.
Well, maybe.
Imagine that.
Maybe.
We'll have to do a Community Shield watch-along.
It is about time that Spurs won something, and this could be the season. It could be the season. I've got high hopes for Spurs this season because I think you're quietly, looking pretty good.
Touch wood.
Looking pretty good, except you lost, didn't you, yesterday in the pre-season?
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that. It's just Mourinho.
Just Mourinho setting expectations.
Just Mourinho doing Mourinho things.
Sam, before we get on to our predictions, just a quick shout out to all of our new Patreons that have joined us over the last couple of weeks. We've had loads of you join us over on Patreon for the last couple of weeks, as we tend to do at the beginning of season. So guys, thank you very much if you joined us over on Patreon for the last couple of weeks or so. We've had loads of people join us at the Ohana $3 tier, the Manager of the Month, and we've even had a couple of new joiners in the Zoom tier at the $10 tier as well. So guys, thank you very much for your support of FPL Family, and of course all of our existing patrons. You know who you are. We love you for your support, and we've had patrons now that have been there since the beginning, frankly, since we set that up 2 years. You guys have been supporting us, so thank you so much for supporting us. Go to www.patreon.com/FPL Family if you fancy a little bit more than just a Sunday night with me and Sam. If you want an exclusive podcast on a Friday, if you want a Manager of the Month competition where we give away prizes to the Manager of the Month who gets the most points in that particular month that I track on a spreadsheet outside of FPL. If you want one-to-one Zoom chats with us about your team, perhaps you've got a wild card coming up, perhaps you just want a general chat about FPL, we are here for you. So if you want to go and support us on a slightly different level than just joining us here on a Sunday for FPL Family, then go over to patreon.com/FPL Family and check us out over there. Right, Sam, let's get to predicting what is going to happen this season. And as we usually do, we're going to go through our usual predictions. Right, and I have one extra thing that I'm going to ask you about as well. But guys, what we normally do, so for those of you that are new to FPL Family, maybe you've not seen this before, Sam and I, and you guys as well, the FPL Family community, are about to predict your top 4, the bottom 3, the golden boot, most assists. So I couldn't think of, do we have a golden assist boot? Is there
It's called the Playmaker Award.
The Playmaker, that's the thing, the Playmaker Award. I couldn't think of it, so I've just written...
Remember seeing Salah with both of them? And the season before, there was Kane with both of them?
Why did I not think of that? I've just put most assists, but you're absolutely right. It's called the Playmaker Award. So the golden boot, Playmaker, which is the player with the most assists.
And the golden glove, we always do.
However, having said that, are we talking about most assists including FPL assists? Because there are a bunch of assists that you get in FPL that you wouldn't get that would contribute towards your Playmaker Award.
Yeah, we normally include the assists.
So we should include FPL assists.
We normally do,
include FPL assists. And we'll talk about who we think is going to be the top scoring FPL defender, midfielder and forward. And I would like you and I would like you guys to talk and write down your surprise differential. So the player, the player that, listen, no one's talking about, but in game week 38, we will all have him in our teams. We will all be
the
talking
Jarrod
about
Bowen
him.
of this season.
Who is this season's Jarrod Bowen? Absolutely. That is what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So, without further ado, Sam,
just everyone
let's
write
get
Jarrod
on
Bowen
to.
again.
So, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to start with, I've got my piece of paper here. You've got your piece of paper.
I've got the communities one as well.
You've got the communities one, all right. So, what I need you guys to do is get in the chat, guys. Get in the chat and tell me who you think is going to be.
Right, now we all got to stop going Man United crazy like we did last year.
Who is going to be the champions this year? Who are going to be the champions? It doesn't have to be Liverpool and City. You can pick whoever you want. Who is going to be this season's Premier League champions? And we'll talk about the other positions in the top four in a second. But you and I are going to try not to look at each other's writing, and I'm going to put.
I've just
who
put
I
FPL
think
community on that one.
are going to be first. Okay, I'm going to write
on the top of this one.
Yeah, I'm going to write Lee in the top corner here, so we know what we're talking about. And what we do, guys, is we're going to make these predictions, Sam and I, and you guys are going to make these predictions. And when I say predictions, we're going to get in the chat, and I'm going to see what the majority are going for. Okay, we'll take a bit of a straw poll. We'll see who you guys are saying is going to win the league. And then what we do is we put these cards, so we have these fancy Premier League cards from the FPL show, into an envelope, and we seal it, and we do not touch it for 38 game weeks. For 38 game weeks. And then what we do on the final live stream of the season is we open the envelope and we find out how accurate, or otherwise, in a lot of cases, our predictions were.
Last year's were awful.
I think you called Man United for the title last year, didn't you?
Sounds about right.
It's an interesting
Do
one.
you know what?
It was. I think I called Lukaku for Golden Boot. So
I'm sitting here and this is the first time I'm really struggling to put a champion on it because I think it's tighter this year.
Well, let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. So, Sai Badet is saying Colwyn Bay. Thank you, Sai. Let's see. Morgan is saying City, Keith Hill, City, JVC, City. Job Cook, Manchester United. John Tyner, Liverpool. Indranil is saying Liverpool, even though he's a Chelsea fan. Fatal is saying City. Paul Baxter, Liverpool. This is hard to say. Paul Cook is saying Spurs.
What? Somebody said Spurs for the title.
Listen, you're up there. You're going to be up there.
You're my favourite.
Benayu is saying Liverpool, City, Spurs and Chelsea. Brian Kamati is saying City. I'm saying that you guys, the FPL family community, are saying Man City for the title.
Okay.
Just. And I would say, based on what we are seeing here in the chat, I'm going to ask you guys now to write who you think is going to be second, third and fourth. Who makes up the rest of the top four? So, Sam, I'd like you to write down who you think, in order, by the way, second, third and fourth.
Champions, second, third, fourth.
And then I'd like you guys in the chat to write who you think is going to be second, third and fourth. I think we're going to see Liverpool come up a lot for second place because they come up a lot in the first chat there. So I think I'm going to write, or you should write Liverpool as second for the title. So in the top four, it should be City and then Liverpool. That's what you guys are saying. Let's see what else you guys are saying here. Danish is saying Arsenal. I Hate the Wind is saying Chelsea forever. Chris Gascoigne, Liverpool first, City, Spurs and Arsenal. City to win it by a margin, some of you guys are saying. Liverpool first, City, Arsenal and Spurs, Daniel March is saying. Mr. Twister242 is saying Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal. Babani is saying Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal. Tomats is saying City, United, Spurs. There is a lot of Spurs in here, Sam. There is a lot of Spurs. Timer Raiz is saying Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs. Mustafa, Spurs and Chelsea. So, the FPL family community, Sam, is definitely saying City, Liverpool. And I think then third, it's hard to say between Arsenal and Spurs here. Hard to say between Arsenal and Spurs. I know some of you guys are saying do a poll. I don't know how to do polls. I've tried polls on here and they tend to go not very well. City, Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal. City second, Arsenal third, Spurs fourth. Let's see, Liverpool, City, Spurs, Arsenal. Listen, Spurs are there third, I think. FPL family community, you have spoken. Spurs.
Okay, so we've
third.
got City, Liverpool, Spurs.
Third.
I would put an Arsenal fourth then, based upon what they're all saying.
Based on what you guys are saying, it's Arsenal or Chelsea.
Well, last year we did do a slash if we could. They really can't
Arsenal
decide.
or Chelsea. I'm seeing a lot of Arsenal, Sam, but I'm seeing a lot of Chelsea as well. Why don't you put Arsenal / Chelsea?
I'll put Arsenal
/ Chelsea.
/ Chelsea for them then.
Okay.
So that's yours then, guys. City,
Okay.
Liverpool, Spurs, and then Arsenal /
I'm not sure
Chelsea.
how well you can see it, but there we go. That is what you guys are saying in the FPL family community. So now we move to the bottom 3, Sam. Who do you think is getting relegated?
Oh no.
18th, 19th and 20th. Guys, I'd like you to put in the chat who you think in this order is going to be 18th, 19th and 20th in the Premier League. I know who I'm going to go as rock bottom, I'm afraid.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to go for them, and I'm going to go for them, let's say.
Just relegated a big club.
You just relegated a... Well...
Why do I do this every year?
To be honest, did this not happen last year?
Every
I think
year.
I relegated Newcastle, didn't I, last year?
But
Before
that
the
should have
Saudi
happened
money
before
come in?
Yeah,
there we go.
We were both relegated Newcastle. All right.
So there we go. As you are deciding that, Sam, I'm going to see what else is happening. Looks like we've had a new member, Anthony Gary. Thank you, Anthony, for the support. He's joined as a new member of FPL Family for the new season. Anthony, thank you very much. I think Anthony supports us. In fact, I know he supports us over on Patreon as well. So, Anthony, thank you very much for your support, mate. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
I don't know if I like that.
Let's see. You guys are saying Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Forest, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Simon is saying. Woof. Bournemouth, Wolves and Leeds. Joe O is saying Southampton, Fulham and Bournemouth. I'm seeing a lot of Bournemouth, Sam. I'm seeing a lot of Bournemouth. Put Bournemouth 20th. The FPL family community are saying Bournemouth are going to be rock bottom. And based on Scotty Parker's comments about them not being ready for the start of the season, it's hard to argue about that.
Silver's comment.
Hard to argue with Bournemouth 20th. Martin Tricky Swartz is in. Hey, Martin. Leeds, Bournemouth, Fulham. He's saying Leeds, Fulham, Forest. JVC is saying. Duncan's in. Forest, Southampton, Bournemouth. Seeing a lot of Fulham. Fulham, Bournemouth, Southampton. Paul Baxter saying Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham. Fulham 19th, Sam.
Okay.
19th for Fulham. 18th. This is tougher. I'm seeing a few Wolves. I'm seeing some Leeds. Aman is saying Everton, Brentford and Fulham. Brentford to go down.
There's some Southamptons in there before as well, wasn't there?
Syndrome. There's a lot of Saints going on. Sai is saying Brentford sinking this season. Cricketer, Southampton. Benayu, Brentford, Forest and Bournemouth. Great Del Mondo, Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham. I've got to say, it's Everton, it's Southampton, and it's Leeds. It's difficult. I'm going to say Southampton. I'm seeing a lot of Southamptons in it, Sam.
Okay.
Southampton to get relegated. You guys are saying 18th, the Saints, even with Mr. Ward-Prowse. There we go. So you guys are saying 18th, 19th, and 20th is Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth. All right, let's move to the Golden Boot, Sam. Who's going to get this year's Golden Boot? As if we don't know who you're going to write, Sam, for the Golden Boot this season. I would like you guys to get in the chat. Who is going to be the Golden Boot winner this season? Golden Boot winner this season is going to be... I'm going to write down a name here. And then I'm also going to write the Playmaker Award. Although I'm going to say
watch all the Haalands appear in there.
Well, quite possibly.
I'm writing mine in massive, big, bold letters. I'm underlining it 3 times.
Does it begin with a K, Sam?
Why look like that?
There we go. Sam, maybe unusually, let's say. Oh, wow, here we go. Yes, Salah. Kane, Haaland, Salah, Jesus. Yes, ooh. Jesus. Kane, Salah, Haaland, Kane, Salah, Nunez and Salah, Kane, Salah. It's between Kane and Salah here. I think there's a little bit of recency bias from the Community Shield going on because not many people saying Erling Haaland, but Kane definitely is in the mix. There was a lot of Salahs to begin with, but there's now a lot of Kanes. I'm saying you guys are saying Kane. You guys are saying Kane, Harry Kane for this year's Golden Boot, which I would imagine is fairly in line
I was supposed to write Playmaker as well,
with what you were saying. And yes, so now, guys, let's move to most assists. So sort of the Playmaker Plus, right? So this is assists and fantasy assists. Who is going to get the most FPL assists this season? FPL assists. So let me find out. Let's see what you guys are saying. KDB, Salah, Saka. Let's see. Matt Rigby saying Haaland and Salah to get the same goals. Joint Golden Boot, he reckons. Bit of KDB in here. John Tyner, Son for Playmaker. Tamur is saying Erdegaard for Playmaker, which I quite like the look of. Aman, Matt the End Pod is saying KDB. A lot of KDBs here, Sam. A lot of KDBs. Couple of Bowens. There's a Trent in there. Couple more KDBs. A couple of Kanes in there as well for assists for Playmakers. Robbo, KDB. There's a lot of KDBs. Let's go for Kevin De Bruyne. Most assists, Kevin De Bruyne is what the community are saying. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Right, guys, let me get into...
Sorry, what am I writing for them? I was too busy thinking about me.
Kevin De Bruyne.
KDB. Okay.
The community has spoken. Kevin De Bruyne. Let's see what you guys are saying for the top FPL defender by points, purely on points.
Are we not doing Golden Boot this year?
We've done Golden
Golden
Boot.
Gloves? We normally do gloves.
No, we ain't doing that. That's boring. Right, let's do top FPL
You're
defender. FPL. You would have put in bloody Lloris anyway, wouldn't you?
No.
Top FPL defender, guys. Who is going to get the most points in FPL in defence this season? Let's have a look. Let's see what you guys are saying. So we've got Kane and we've got KDB for most goals and most assists in FPL. Now that may or may not translate when we ask you who is going to get the most points from a midfield and forward perspective. But let's ask you guys, who is going to be the top scoring FPL defender? Loads and loads and loads and loads of Trents.
Oh my God, it's just Trent everywhere.
Loads of Trents. And there is a couple of Robbos and there is a couple of Lucy Bronzes. Very well done. Lionesses, love it. But that is overwhelmingly, you're going for Trent. Overwhelmingly going for Trent. So let's stick Trent in there. For the community is saying the top FPL defensive player for points scored is going to be Trent. Not too much of a shock there, I don't think. Let's move to midfield, Sam. Top FPL midfielder. So who's going to get the most points in FPL in midfield this season? So guys, get into the chat. Let me know who you think is going to score the most points from an FPL perspective in midfield. A lot of you guys still quite a few Trent comments coming in. So thank you for the Trent comments. Who is going to be the highest scoring FPL midfielder? Straight away, we've had a couple of Sonnies come in. Jesse Lingard from Gaz is coming in now that he's got his move to Forest. Very nice indeed. Couple of Salahs in there. Lots of Salahs. A couple of Sons. A lot of Salahs though, Sam.
Can I put two if I think they might end up on the same points?
You can, but the community is overwhelmingly... Listen, there's a lot of love for Son. There is, no doubt. But Salah is the one. Salah is the one. I'm not in no doubt on that. So you guys are saying Mo Salah is going to be the highest scoring FPL midfielder. So let's put him into what you guys are saying, into the community prediction. So we've gone Trent at the back, Salah in midfield. So the Liverpool thing might continue here. Highest scoring FPL forward, guys. Now the forward, what are you guys saying? You've got Haaland, you've got Kane, you've got Darwin, you've got Jesus, you've got loads of different options now.
What's with your hatred of the goalkeepers, by the way? We haven't done them.
Sorry, say again.
We haven't done the goalies.
You can put a goalkeeper if you like. I'm not interested.
What's going on with you?
I
mean, they're quite important.
Yeah, go on then.
No Golden Gloves this year. Not top scoring goalkeeper this year.
Guys, I do want you guys to put the top forward in the chat. The top FPL point scoring forward. Let's talk about that. You can do a goalkeeper one if you want. Just to keep you happy, I will put GK in here and I will put the top point scoring goalkeeper is going to be... Actually, this does make you think, doesn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, you see?
It does make you think.
Stop neglecting the goalkeepers. The man between the sticks can't win the league without the man between the sticks.
All right, we'll go with that. Guys, let's see. Top FPL forward point scorer. Mitrovic, Jesus, Tony, Jesus, Kane, Jesus. Kane and Jesus again. Wilson, Mitro, Jesus. A lot of Jesus. A lot of Jesus in here. Haaland, finally a couple for Haaland. I thought Haaland would have this nailed on, guys, to be honest with you. Let's see what you guys are saying. Nash is saying Haaland, Martin, Haaland, Kane, Jesus. This is a difficult one, you know. I Hate the Wind is saying Darwin Nunez. Duncan is saying Haaland. Susil Jesus. Babani is saying Skamaka. Interesting. Loving Darwin, but Haaland, Paul Baxter is saying. Marcus is going with Kane. Jesus. Do you know what? I'm seeing a lot of Jesus here. I'm seeing a lot of Jesus.
All right then.
So you as a community are going for Gabriel Jesus to do the business for Arsenal this season. So we are saying a lot of love for Arsenal. So
they need to put a goalie now.
No, we're not doing goalie. You can do goalie and I'll do goalie. What I would like you guys now to do, so you went for Trent, Salah and Jesus as your top 3 FPL point scorers. Be very interesting to see if that changes. If Jesus blanks against Fulham at Fest, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
He's not playing Fulham at Fest. You're playing Fulham the day after. He's playing Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, I mean, yeah, absolutely, Crystal Palace.
I mean, last time we watched Arsenal at Fest, it all did go wrong.
It did. It absolutely went terrible. Who was the guy who got a single goal?
It weren't Tony.
I think it was.
Is it Tony?
I think it was Sergei Canos, wasn't it? I think Canos got a 1-0 win against Arsenal. It was absolutely ridiculous. So guys, you can get in the chat if you want and talk about your surprise differential. In fact, I would like you to put that. So put your surprise differential. I'm not going to put any rules around it, like he's got to be under 10% owned or anything like that. But who is going to be this season's Jarrod Bowen is basically what I'm asking, right? I don't think any of us sat here on an FPL family stream at this time last season and went, Bowen's going to be phenomenal this season and be in everyone's team. Okay. So who is this season's Jarrod Bowen? Would love to hear from you guys as to what you are saying.
This could be hilarious when we look back.
It could be. Jack Brokenshire is saying Dwight McNeil. Interesting one. Let's see. Susio is saying Rashford. Would we count Rashford there?
No, I don't think Rashford counts as a differential.
I don't know if he's like out there enough. It's borderline, isn't it?
I don't know, actually, because he's not very highly owned in the game.
Isaac is saying Nunez. Stephen Harker is saying Maddison. Now, that's a bit more like it. But Barney is saying Leon Bailey. I'm keen on Leon Bailey. I have to tell you, I'm keen on Leon Bailey. Great Del Mondo is saying Saka. I don't think that's out there enough. I'm sorry. I'm not having that. It's not out there enough. Rita Sen is saying Solanke. That is definitely out there enough. Ruben White is saying Havertz. That's good. Because no one's expecting Havertz to have a good season,
Remember
apparently.
what happened when we all last expected Havertz to have a good game?
Marcus is saying Henderson of Notts Forest. Skamaka, like that, interestingly. Babani is saying Leon Bailey. A couple of Leon Baileys in there.
You're going to make me write Skamaka. I've no idea
Trossard.
how to spell that.
JVC is saying Trossard. Let's see. There's a few Skamakas in there, you know.
Nice.
Raheem Khan saying Kolbach, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Rafikov is saying Zinchenko, like that. I like that. Darnish is saying Erdegaard. There's some good ones in here, guys. Anthony Gary is saying this year's Jarrod Bowen is Jarrod Bowen. Mark my words, he'd be worth the money. Seeing a few Baileys in here, seeing a few Maddisons. I will accept Bailey and Maddison. I'd like you to write Bailey and Maddison in there, Sam, and I'm going to write who I think is my differential for the season. I'm going to write it. There we go. Right, that is it. Pens down. Put your bit of paper on there. Do you want to just read back what the community are saying for the top four, Sam? What are the community saying? You guys have said
Manchester City first, Liverpool in second, Spurs in third. With Arsenal or Chelsea to come in fourth.
Arsenal and or Chelsea. We'll let you off with two there. The bottom three, the community is saying.
Bournemouth to come rock bottom. Just above them.
Going to be a hard season.
And then in 18th, the Southampton.
Southampton to go down. Crikey's days. Golden Boot winner, the prediction for this season from the community is...
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane, as I suspect it will be from you too. And the most FPL assists will be by...
Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne, there we go. Imagine a team with them two in it. And handily enough,
look
who I put on the graphic, Sam. It's as if I knew. I knew.
You've basically tricked everybody to put
Is it subliminal?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Because they're looking at the screen going, oh, I should put Kane.
Probably subliminal.
If you'd have put Solanke on there, everyone would have voted Solanke.
You're probably right. FPL top point scoring defender the community have predicted is? Trent. And in midfield? Salah. And up front and forward? Jesus, top scorer. That's a shout. I'll be very interested to see. I mean, if he gets it right there and Arteta gets it right, that absolutely could come true. But it also equally could absolutely not. Jesus at Arsenal, no doubt about it. And the surprise differential the community has gone for?
Both Leon Bailey and James
Maddison. Bailey and Maddison. I will just about allow Maddison. I will just about allow that. But definitely Leon Bailey is a good shout. And since you've said that,
and Colbeck.
Seen a couple of other good ones coming in there. Neil Riley, Alvarez, like that a lot. Chris Loftus, Eze. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the sort of differentials I want to hear. So, guys, thank you for that. Very good. So,
screenshot these. If you put them in there and you think it might happen and we've not written your player, screenshot it, and then at the end of the season, you can send us a tweet.
Dig it out. There we go. So, dig it out. Anthony Gary saying he's praying the chat is right because he's got Bailey and Maddison in for game week 1. There we go. So, listen, those are your...
My leg's gone numb. I've been sitting in this position for so long.
Do you need to switch positions?
Well, the problem
Don't knock the mic, though.
Right. So we're having a bit of mic issues because we've got a new mic, but we haven't really got a stand for it that works in this room. So I have really budged it, but in this I've given myself no leg space. And I was conscious of... So, okay, I'm going to move.
Go on. Very good.
Okay.
All right, very good.
But I've got to sit sort of sideways.
Excellent. Right, so there we go. Those are your predictions, guys, for the season. Thank you for doing that. We will not rip them up.
I look like I've got my back to you now.
I was going to say, supposed to say lock them up, and I said rip them up. We're not going to rip them. We're going to lock them up in an envelope for the next 38 game weeks, and we will put them in the drawer down there, the other side of the camera, and we will bring them out on the last stream once the ball has been kicked and we know who's champions, we know who's won FPL and all that sort of stuff, right? 38 game weeks from now, we'll bring them out and we'll find out how close I was to predicting this season and how close you went, how close you guys were to predicting the season. We didn't. It didn't go well last year. It didn't particularly go well, Sam. Just a quick shout out before we get to our drafts. A quick shout out to what is happening next Friday. So Fantasy Football Fest is back for their. Is it the third or the fourth fest? I think it's the third one in London, isn't it? The third one in London. But they are expanding as we speak. I think they're planning to go to New York. Loads of stuff going on.
You can buy tickets for that, by the way.
You can if you are based if you're listening and you're in the New York area or anywhere in the US, frankly.
Should we just fly out for it?
I'm not sure we can justify that. To be honest, it's a long old flight. We've got to take some children. All the rest of it.
Leave them here.
Okay, let's talk about that offline, dear. Right, but certainly for the London ones, we will absolutely be there next Friday. Very, very much looking forward to it. And thanks to Mark and Gianni and to Ed, we have 2 tickets for Fest to give away right here on the live stream. So what I would like you guys to do is hit that subscribe button. First thing you've got to do, hit subscribe. Second thing is you've got to be able to get yourself to London on Friday. I'm afraid I can't send you an Uber. You've got to be able to get to London off your own back. Next Friday, where you can meet Sam and I, and we will be giving you the tickets, or probably we will send them via email beforehand. So you've got to get to London, you've got to be subscribed to the channel, and I would like you to get into the comments. Live chat, if you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to the replay, get into the comments of the video and tell me who you think your biggest differentiator is. Who's going to be the Jared Bowen for this season? Now, all of you that are here live, listening to us live, you would have done that already. So well done. Your vote has already been registered. So you are in with a chance of going to Fantasy Football Fest. But I'd like those of you that are watching the replay to get in the comments and type FEST, F-E-S-T, and then your player that you think is going to be the differential for this season. Who is going to be this year's Jared Bowen? And what we're going to do is I'm going to pick a comment at random tomorrow, once a few more of you have watched the video, from the comments and from the live stream comments, and we will contact you, and assuming you can get to London next Friday and you want to go to Fest, we've got 2 tickets up for grabs for those of you that are subscribed to the channel and comment with your differential in the comments below for the video. So there we go, 2 tickets.
Comment below in the video anyway, even if you've watched it live, because then you've got 2 chances.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Even if you've commented live, that's a good point actually. Even if you've commented in the video, get in the comments of the video, the actual comments, the YouTube comments anyway, and write Fest and your differential, and then you've got even more chance of winning, right? So there we go. We will pick a winner at random, and I'll be tweeting it and putting it on the YouTube community channel as soon as I've picked the winner. So good luck, anybody that wants to win a couple of tickets for Fantasy Football Fest next Friday. We're going to be there. Loads of FPL content creators are going to be there. Kelly's going to be there hosting it as usual. The ticket includes a drink. It's a great night out. There's Ed's going to do some more comedy, which actually was very good last time out. Very good.
If you come, you will get to take part in the quiz, of which I have written a round.
You're doing a round in the quiz, aren't you?
I have written a round of the quiz.
Yes! Love it.
I'm quite proud of it. It was my own idea as well. I had this idea.
I'm putting out there, I'm saying the questions are decent.
I think they were
decent.
Right. As Johnny was like, do you want to read a round of the quiz? And I was like, yeah, do you want me to write questions? He was like, yeah, I had this idea. And then I've done it,
For anybody coming to Fest, I'm not saying you want me on your team, but I know
what
that round looks like.
I've changed them all.
Have you changed it?
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
I have.
No, you haven't. Sod off. You haven't. You definitely have not done that. Right, so anybody coming to Fantasy Football Fest, sponsored by Spitch, we will see you next Friday. Very much
really
looking forward to it.
With this
very much. What's wrong with you?
Well, I can't sit
What is
straight.
wrong with you?
So now I look like I've had an argument with you and I've got my back to you the whole stream.
Look, there's a big divide between us. If I upset you, what's going on?
You always upset me.
What's going on? Well, I'm going to upset you now because I'm going to bring your draft up. I can see straight away that Colback is gone, which frankly is disgusting. It's disgusting that Colback's gone.
His legend lives forever and he might be back.
Talk us through your current draft, and also notice that I've put a kind of mini watch list there on the right hand side. So this is your team, but there are some others on the watch list. So just as you bring that up, Liam's in with the super chat saying, "Can't wait to meet you guys on Friday." Liam, we cannot wait to meet you, mate. There's honestly, we have loads of our Patreon supporters. We have loads of our YouTube members come along to Fest, and we always have a wicked time with them. It's great, and I know Liam, we're going to see you there, mate. So very much looking forward to that.
Do another FPL Family updated photograph. We had Patreon FPL Family.
100%.
Photograph at the last one.
100%.
Harry
and a few others, right?
Yeah, and everyone that was there, and Andrew. So anybody that comes along, find us. We'll do an FPL Family photograph. We love Fest.
Wicked then. Go on, talk us through your team. I've noticed actually, just as you're doing that, 0 in the bank, so you are absolutely at your limit.
I had to find $1 million, didn't I?
The team is looking, if you don't mind me saying, a bit template. Now, we sat here a couple of weeks ago, and you said, there's going to be no template. I've got Cole back, and I'm being different. That looks a lot like the template to me, I'll be honest.
I don't really understand what your issue is with this.
I don't have an issue with it. You were the one that had an issue 2 weeks ago. You said, there's no template. Everyone's going to look at the amount of options we've got. Everyone's got a different team.
There's loads of options.
Well, you haven't picked them. You've picked the template.
No, I have not.
God, talk me through it. It's so template. It's unreal.
You got Henderson in goal?
No.
Shut up then.
God, talk me through this team. I can't believe you just done that. Shut up then. Go on then, talk me through it. Come on. I'm just saying, Trent, Cancelo, Salah, Diaz, Kane and Jesus is template.
They're not. Right, they're not.
Pereira's template. Nico's template.
Shit, what are you talking about, man? Kane is not owned by that many people.
Oh,
he's quite a differential, I have you know.
Shush.
You shush.
Right, come on then.
Right, I think that...
Great Del Mondo says, I don't think that's template.
Thank you.
Come on, guys.
So there are a number of players in there that I think will be in everybody's team the same as there are every year. The Salahs, the Trents. We don't worry about that because everybody that's half decent at FPL is going to go, I want to have Trent, unless you're Mark Southerns who's going outside the box. But
JVC, that is not template. Guys, it is template.
Ha, ha, ha. Oh, you know what we haven't done on the predictions?
What have we not done? Team
Lee, Team Sam.
Oh, I tell you what. All right, we'll do that at the end. That's an absolutely fair comment. We've not... Yeah, we normally do who's going to win, me or you.
I'm just saying...
I can't believe I forgot to do that, guys. We're going to do that at the end. But talk us through your team now. We're here.
So for me, I've got to move again. Sorry.
Now you've done it.
Right, okay, sorry, guys. I'm really uncomfortable today. This stupid mic thing we've got to fix. You've got loads of leg space. I've got none. Right, so...
Would it be okay if you talked us through your team?
Yeah,
I've asked you about 4 times.
But I just had to move.
Could you talk us through your team?
I will. So, I have somehow... So, for me, Cancelo and Trent
I thought what would be a good start, because there's podcast listeners, is that you talk through your team. Could you talk us through your team?
In goal... So I've got rotating goalkeepers at the moment in Henderson and Sanchez.
No wonder I get feedback from the podcasters.
Shut up.
Can you do a podcast on you only, they say?
No, they don't.
They do. They say, get that Sam off, they say. Get her off. She's useless. She doesn't ever talk through her team.
Nobody wants
She's got Cole back.
Everybody loves Sam.
Can you talk us through your team? Henderson in goal.
I just started it. Henderson and Sanchez as rotating goalkeepers.
Yep.
Currently, my Game Week 1 team has Henderson in goal, with a back 4 of Matt Cash, Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Diogo Dalot. Diogo
Dalot, I think.
Dalot. In midfield, Salah, Grealish, with Luis Diaz and Rashford.
Sticking with Grealish then, despite the sort of non-event in the Community Shield?
At the moment.
Okay. Right.
And then up top, both sides of North London are represented with Harry Kane and Jesus, with a bench that it's got no money in it at all.
Listen, I think that's everyone's bench, to be honest.
Yeah, so we've got Pereira down there. Oh my God, I'm going to punch you in the face. It's got Pereira down there, it's got Nico Williams, and it's got Sam Greenwood at Leeds.
John Tyner's saying, Lee, let Sam talk.
Yeah.
Tarbo's saying, shut up, Lee. Be quiet.
See? Right, so...
Get a lot of abuse here.
You deserve it!
Lee, that's why we follow you on TikTok, because Sam's not there. There you go, love it. Go on, so your team...
Nobody wants to follow Lee on TikTok.
And talk us through your watch list as well. You've got Foden, Trippier, Edison, Sterling and Bailey on your watch list as well.
Leon Bailey is becoming an absolute... So he is this...
That's good, isn't
he? He is this season's player that I get fixated on, and I cannot shift the need to own. And so every day I look at my team and I go, how am I going to find the extra money to get Pereira up to Bailey? It's basically my thought process. I've got the hiccups every day at the moment. I just have to own him. So he will be in my team by game week 1. I've got this real sense of desire to own him.
Only 8% owned right now, Bailey, as well, so reasonable differential.
Yeah, and I really feel like this is going to be his breakthrough season. Everything that Gerard is saying about him, all of his action in pre-season, he scored again yesterday in pre-season for them. He just looks really good. Like, he looks like the player that, if you rewind, go back to this stream last year, and I said exactly the same thing when he first signed, but he didn't stay fit, and he had a difficult season. He kept coming back, and when he did come back, he looked good, and then he get injured again. So he's in there for that, because I do think this will be the year for him. Matt Cash can easily be Kieran Trippier. I'm so backwards and forwards between the two. I really like Trippier's route to points. I think Newcastle are going in the right direction. I think they'll have a really good season this year. I would put them in the hunt for European football at the end of this season. I would expect them to be 7th-ish in the league this time around, with the growth the following year, obviously with new signings and more investment. So Trippier, I think, will be a nice option. He's got set pieces in his locker. I do really like him, but I do like Cash, and I do expect Aston Villa to have a good start to the season too.
Talk me through Raheem Sterling then. So is it just the 10 million that's putting you off there? Because I'm with you. He's on my watch list as well, but I can't at the minute stretch to anything in that 10 million bracket. It's just too much of a gamble.
So I am seriously thinking about doing Luis Diaz to Mason Mount, because obviously I think that Sterling has improved Mount's effectiveness. I think he'll be better, and he's looked good in pre-season, but I'm put off owning Mount, because every time I've ever owned Mount in FPL, it has never gone well. He just never quite lives up to the hype that I want him to. And then,
feeling about Chelsea as a whole.
And that's the other problem. If you remember back to my last draft, I had Mendy in goal, I had Reece James, and I've just ditched them all altogether, because I'm not sure how I feel.
The speed at which people have dropped Reece James and Chilwell is quite astonishing.
Well, I think the thing is, for me, in the way that I've looked at it, is I've not really seen enough from them in pre-season that makes me want to invest defensively. Plus, I worry about Reece James's positioning on the pitch, because now that they're not signing Koundé... Is that how you say it?
Koundé, I think, is going to Barca, right? Yeah.
He's gone. So now they're not getting him. I worry about Reece James's positioning on the pitch. Might we see him more in a central defensive mode rather than in the wing-back position that we wanted to?
I think we probably will,
At least to start the season. So until I know exactly where he's going to play, that's put me off. And then, of course, they've got Spurs in game week 2, and I don't see a clean sheet there. So if we're getting Reece James in a more central position, less wing-backy, then do I really want him for game weeks 1 and 2? I think I've got the scope to wait on Reece James and Chilwell until wildcard, which is going to come earlier this year because of the unlimited transfers. So that's where my head's gone with Chelsea. I like the Dalot pick. I think he looks pretty secure in that Manchester United defence. Manchester United looking better under Ten Hag in pre-season.
A couple of Man United defenders in at 4.5 that have caught my eye. I noticed the new boy Martinez is coming at 4.5 as well. And you've got Dalot, who... Listen, I don't massively rate Dalot, I have to say. I don't think he's United's best defender or by any stretch of imagination. But at 4.5 for a United defence that you'd like to think is going to be a bit more... solid. Assured, right? I mean, there are other options at 4.5, but he looks okay.
And he's got a nice start to the season, so I'm kind of... I want to go there. Trent is absolutely nailed on. I'm not doing anything with him. The Cancelo pick could change. I think if Man City don't sign Cucurella, I am tempted to go with Walker. But
Walker was very high in the Community Shield. You see that? He never really got beyond the fullback, but then that's a difficult thing to do against Liverpool. But against the other sides, he will find himself, I think, in reasonable positions if they don't sign Cucurella, by the way, which it looks like they possibly still will.
If they do, then it puts me off. But obviously, it's 2 million less, and 2 million across the rest of my team makes a lot of difference. So yes, I really rate Cancelo. I hate the idea of not having him, but I also really love what that 2 million does in the rest of my team.
Yeah.
In the midfield, the Grealish pick is definitely up for negotiation. The Grealish, part of me is really tempted to make Grealish Bailey and just save a load of money.
Well, yeah. What would you do with the extra money?
Well, I don't know. Probably, I would really like, as you can see from the Edison pick, I'd actually really like to have
double City defence.
Double City defence.
Yeah.
It would mean I could keep Cancelo, I could upgrade into Edison, because Edison will probably be there or thereabouts as the highest scoring goalkeeper of the season. It was Alisson last year. And I think I'll want my 3 Liverpool players not to be Alisson. So that's why it would be Edison over Alisson.
I have to say I agree with you on the Alisson thing. I'm tempted, to be honest. Yes, absolutely. But the fact it ties up a Liverpool slot just means it's a no-go.
And I think with City, I sort of, even with Haaland, I think, if I had Cancelo and Edison, I could still then get to Haaland if I wanted to go there. I could still get a midfielder if I wanted to go there. There's space in that team to do that.
So would you so if you were to go with Edison, you'd have Edison, Cancelo and Grealish. You'd lock yourself in for those 3?
No, I'd take Grealish out for Bailey.
I think you'd have to do that.
So,
I don't know if you can lock yourself into 3 City and one of them not be Haaland.
No,
because if he starts popping off,
the only way
trouble.
to get Sanchez or Henderson to Edison is to free up some money. So Grealish would go down to Bailey. That would allow me the extra scope to make Edison, or to put Edison in there. The front 2 are locks, absolute locks.
Kane and Jesus in, no questions asked.
100%, yeah. So, but I think there's a week away from the less than a week away from the deadline, 5 days away from the deadline, and I can honestly only say that about 5 players in that team, like Trent, Salah, Rashford, Kane, Jesus. They are the 5 that will be there come game week 1.
I must admit that one of the things I liked about your draft from a couple of weeks ago was Ivan Toney, and there is a bit of a differential, but you just cannot overlook Jesus at the minute. It's just the ownership that Haaland's got, that Kane's got, that Son and Salah have got. If you wanted to go into the season without one of those and take a bit of a risk, I could see why you'd do it because of the price that they're at, and you can't have them all. But Jesus at 8 million. With 64% ownership and
69.4 now.
69%.
That's what I was just
ownership.
looking up.
Ridiculous.
What's Jesus saying? It's going to be, so by the time the game,
it's just not worth the risk.
It's going to be 75% by the time the game we did.
Whether you think he's going to be good or bad or indifferent at Arsenal, and it looks like based on pre-season he's going to be all right. But whether even if you think in your head he's not a good pick, he's going to flop. It's not worth the risk, is it, at 70%? If he's got bangs a couple against Palace, you're in trouble. Game week 1.
Because I'm already taking a massive risk by not having Haaland, who's owned by 51% of the game. So actually having Kane is a differential because he's owned by 25%. So I'm already taking a risk there. There is absolutely no way I can take a risk in the other spot up top. I have to play, and even if he wasn't owned by 70% of the game, he's the most informed striker at the moment in pre-season. Yeah.
One other player I want to talk to you about in your draft in just a second, but I've missed a couple of super chats. Miena, thank you for the super chat. He says, RIP podcast listeners, love it. Haaland Kane is template now. Do you think Haaland, do you mean Miena Haaland or Kane is template now, or Haaland and Kane? Because I'm not sure it's template to have them both. I think it's very difficult to have them both. And actually,
well, judging by those numbers, Kane is not template.
No, and by having both, it does kind of probably mean that you're not going to have Jesus, which is one of the big reasons I'm not going for a 3-million draft. And we've had a new member join us, Andy Natras. Thank you, Andy, for joining us over on FPL Family. So any comments that you want to make, Andy, in the chat, they will be highlighted from now on. So thank you, Andy, for joining us as a member of the channel, and Miena for the super chat. The one player that I want to ask you about, Sam, is Marcus Rashford, and that's why I put him on the graphic here. 6.5, or Sancho at 7.5, or Bruno at 10. I feel like I want a bit of that Manchester United midfield, but I'm not sold yet on where to go. I'm sort of feeling like Rashford is...
How are you going to afford Bruno?
Well, this is it, and you'll see in my draft in a second that I've not got him anymore. I do like him, and I think he'd be a great differential if you've got the balls to go for him, or indeed you've got the money to get up there for him. But at 6.5, Rashford feels like the right price point to have a gamble on that Manchester United midfield, because it does still feel like a bit of a gamble, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I was just going to look up this. So Rashford is currently the most heavily owned of the Manchester United team. He's owned by 12%, so still a differential in many ways. Yeah. I mean, he's over the 10% differential threshold. 12.1%, Sancho in at 12%. So they are literally neck and neck. But
you considered about Ronaldo? Are you worried about Ronaldo coming back though? Because Ronaldo is apparently live and kicking, and his family issues I think are over, and he's back, right? I can't help but feel like he probably is still going to go before the end of the window. But I think he tweeted something like, the King is going to play against Sporting Lisbon or whatever.
Did he play?
I have no idea. United fans will tell me. I'm not keeping an eye on that game whether Ronaldo played or not. But no doubt that puts. Does that put Rashford in any sort of danger for you? Does it make you concerned about having him at 6.5, or no, still happy?
No, I think I still I'm just having a look what's going on in this Man United game. Yeah,
He's still going to play off the left, isn't he? I mean, he's still going to be. I mean, if Ronaldo's there and you assume that Ronaldo is locked in as the forward, which is a big assumption, it's then Rashford versus Martial for that left-hand side. But it's probably Rashford, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
So no concerns for you?
I mean, I've got concerns about everything at the moment, Lee, to be honest. But no, I think Rashford, I'm fairly locked on. I would really like to punt on Eriksen, but
He did play, and he played 45 minutes according to chat. So
yeah, I'm
yes,
just having a look. Ronaldo did play, yeah.
He played 45 minutes and left the stadium, Babani is saying. That's interesting. Well, listen, I've not seen any of the fallout from the United game earlier, but I'd love to hear more about that in the chat. Anita is saying the King did indeed play and lost the game. They didn't win, apparently, in Manchester United. So I've not seen
It was
that
1-1.
Ronaldo played, got subbed at half-time, and he left Old Trafford before the end of the game, Rishi's saying. He played 45 and went home early. It ain't looking good for the King, is it? It's not looking good for the King. So, here's my team, Sam, if you care to have a look at it.
I would love to. Where's the Spurs players, Lee?
Well, I do
probably
need
to have some.
I do need a bit of Spurs. It is highly template, no doubt about it. I've got $1 million in my bank, which is burning a bit of a hole in my pocket. I don't really know what to do with it.
$1 million?
I've got $1 million in the bank. Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of that was down to the fact that I wanted Reece James or Chilwell. Those of you that were here a couple of weeks ago will know that I had Walker, Trent, and Chilwell. And I pretty quickly changed that to Trent, Cancelo, and Chilwell. But now I'm cooling a little bit on the Chelsea defence, so I'm going to go with Trippier. I just think listen, he's...
You better read your team out for the podcasters, because
you're
absolutely
right, yes.
for that.
All right, touche. Yes, you're very right. Raya in goal, Trent, Cancelo, and Trippier at the back, with Dalot and Nico Williams also on the bench. Salah, Diaz, Rashford, Martinelli, and Bailey in midfield, and then Haaland and Jesus up front. Yes, the big problem, as you can see on my watch list, is Son and Kane. I don't have them at the minute, and that worries the life out of me. And I wonder whether Haaland becomes Kane at kickoff. Maybe, right? I've got to be looking at that and looking at the form that Kane has shown in pre-season. Listen, I know Haaland missed a couple yesterday, and therefore it's like, well, therefore you've got to have Kane over him. The fact that he's in those positions, the fact that City are already finding him, the fact that they're finding him in those positions against one of the best defences in the league, he will score a ton of goals for City this season.
Look,
he will score a ton, but is he going to, again, in that first 6 to 8 weeks, going to be better than Harry Kane or not? I don't know.
It remains to be seen, doesn't it? But I think the reality is this season is going to all be about the fear of missing out. You cannot own all of these premium players. This is part of the reason I love the pricing this year. You're just going to have to accept that there are going to be players that go on riots and you won't have them. Yeah. And you have to back the premiums that you do buy. So I'm not going to have Haaland because I've got Kane. And as long as Kane is performing, I have to accept that Haaland will score goals, but so should Harry Kane. And you have to be brave and just accept it.
I just feel so wrong starting game week 1 behind the sofa, right? Home to Southampton, no Son and Kane, and trust me, I've tried to get Son into that team as well. I just think Son's price point makes him so difficult to get.
It does, yeah.
Whereas
you've got to get an extra point.
Kane's is a little bit, I wouldn't say easier to get to, but there's other routes to get there, isn't there? Because you can then mix it up with some midfielders where you can find some value. Difficult. So Haaland and Kane very much is in my thoughts. Very, very much in my thoughts. You absolutely might see Kane in this team and not Haaland in game week 1. Absolutely. But I'm very split at the moment. Jesus, like you, he's locked. I just don't see him going anywhere unless he picks up a knock or something in the next week or so.
Ownership is obscene.
I just don't see that he's not in my team for what, the price that he's at. He's at like 60 something percent. It's ridiculous. 69%, I think you said. Salah and Trent obviously locked. Cancelo pretty locked, I think. Trippier, I think, is reasonably locked. Now, I know he's got City and Liverpool in his first 5. And again, I'm looking at that first 5 or 6 before I want to play my first wild card and thinking, well, maybe I don't want Trippier then. But the other games around that, I mean, Forest's own first game. Yeah. It's decent, isn't it? It's decent. So I've got him in there. The $1 million in the bank could go to a Chilwell or a James if I see a little bit from them over the next week or so. But I don't think I'm going to go there with Chelsea to start with. The only reason I might go to Chelsea, by the way, is they get Fofana for 4.5. If they sign Wesley Fofana and he's a starter for Chelsea, might not be a game week oneer. Probably going to stick with Dalot, as you can see here. But he'll factor. Yeah. Fofana will be in our thoughts a few weeks from now if he goes to Chelsea. Sticking with Diaz, again, that conversation is still to be had whether I could maybe change it up, and rather than having Trippier, I could maybe have Robbo in there as well. Then I could use one of my millions to do that, and then I've got to find someone at 7 million in midfield. So could I have Grealish instead of Diaz and have Robbo instead of Trippier? Maybe. I've considered that. But I just... The whole Grealish Foden thing at the weekend put me off massively. It's put me off massively. I'm actually keener on Alvarez on the other side, you know. Because I still don't think Pep rates Mahrez. There is a lot of chat on Twitter about Mahrez being the go-to City player. I don't know. I just don't think he fancies him. And I think Alvarez could absolutely get some game time. And I bet you Alvarez is under 10% owned. Gotta be.
Tell you. It's really hard to pick, I think, at the moment. Saka isn't in either of our drafts yet. Also performing really well this pre-season. And
probably on penalties, right?
Yeah, because he took one yesterday, obviously, when they were on the pitch.
Yeah. I just
Alvarez is 1.8% owned.
Well, there you go. Yeah, there's your potential differential for the first couple of game weeks if he's going to get game time. But that's the roulette. That's the you take your ticket, you pay your money, you take your chance, don't you, with Pep? But let's see. I still don't think he rates Mahrez. I just don't. And from what I saw in the Community Shield, his ability to track back.
Well, they're all owned. They're all very lowly owned, those City midfielders, and there's a reason for that. It's because nobody knows what to do. The only one that's got any decent ownership behind him is KDB, and then you've got to find a lot of money to get to him. So
I just think that front three, Grealish, Haaland, Mahrez, there's no press there. Pep loves his front three pressing. There's no press. Whereas Foden, I don't know Alvarez yet. He's got to get up to speed, isn't he? But he looks all right against Liverpool. Got the goal, bit scrappy, but fine. And Haaland, it's whether he wants him to press or not, right? I don't know. He probably does, but whether he's capable of doing it or not, I don't know. But certainly Foden and Alvarez.
Alvarez is 6.5, so it's easier to get to him.
Some of the guys are saying he's a forward. Have I got that wrong?
Who?
Alvarez. Midfielder or forward?
He's a forward in the game.
He's a forward. Okay, I missed that. All right,
yeah,
so there's me assuming he's a midfielder. So
he's easier to get to from that perspective.
Yeah.
At 6.5, but he's. I don't know.
If you're going to have Kane, Haaland and Jesus, then you're talking about having him instead of Archer, right? I need to find a couple of million to get to Alvarez, which is going to be a difficult thing to do. But one to keep an eye on, I think, Alvarez. But so right now it's Diaz. I think it's going to be Diaz. I've backed him all season. I've backed him all pre-season. He looks good. He looks pretty sharp in pre-season. I thought he had a good game actually, Community Shield, despite the fact I think he might do that from time to time, by the way, for you in FPL this season. I think he might do that.
What?
He'll have a great game and get no FPL points. Whereas Salah is the opposite.
Well, he
can have an average game and then get 13, 14 points.
He's the most popular of the 8 million midfielders. He's owned by 25% at the moment. Saka's actually the second most popular. He's owned by 20% of the game.
Yeah.
I wonder if those 20% don't have... I wonder if they're in the 30% that don't own Jesus.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Saka's a nice pick. There's no doubt about it.
All the others, massive differentials. Foden 6% owned, Kulusevski 7% owned, Maddison, who we were talking about earlier, 5.5% owned.
What are you saying about my Martinelli pick then? So we talked about Rashford, we talked about Bailey, so there's no surprises there in my team. But Martinelli,
not keen.
He's the one I've put in my graphic there. Is this not a bit of a coming of age for him this season? Is he going to lock down that starting position and actually be the player that we'll think he's going to be? That certainly Klopp thinks he's going to be. Klopp fancies him, doesn't he?
Klopp fancies Martinelli.
Yeah, he come out, didn't he, after we played Arsenal? I think back end of last season. He said, "Oh, look out for Martinelli. There's a name you're going to hear a lot. Good player."
I don't think he's a bad player. I just think that there's a lot of rotation potential in that position because we saw it last season, didn't we? That he went through spells where he played week in week out and was really good, but we are starting to see a bit more of a settled team. Might we get some more subs, particularly with the 5 sub rule coming in?
Who's going to play in his position though? It's not Ødegaard or Smith Rowe. They're both a bit more central. Saka's a bit more wide, isn't he? And it's bloody not Pepe, I tell you that much.
No, but there's going to have to be some rotation there, Lee, because they've got European football to have this year, which they didn't have last year. It's still not a hugely big squad, that Arsenal squad, so they're going to have to move some stuff around. You'd expect I just think there are better players. Like, I'd rather have Bruno Guimaraes in that spot for the same money.
Okay, interesting.
Like, I think there are better players outside of... If I was going to double up on Arsenal, it would be Ben White who I would put in with Jesus, rather than or if I could budget it would be Saka, of course.
Nice comment by Jai Mera in the live chat saying Ødegaard better than Martinelli. Do you know what? That is, I know I've got $1 million in my bank. I have contemplated going up from Martinelli to Ødegaard. I think because he's got the captaincy now, hasn't he? Ødegaard from the little I know about
He's
Arsenal.
captain, yes, so he's going to play every week.
Captain of Arsenal.
0.5 more.
Arsenal fans that I speak to at work, the Arsenal fans that I speak to just generally that I know, some of them on Twitter, big on him having a big season. Big on him having a big season. And he absolutely could do. He could be the creative hub for them. He could be their kind of, I was going to say their De Bruyne. That's probably a bit too much, isn't it? But you know what I mean. He's going to be the hub of the team.
Well, when I was at the podcast recording last week for the Premier League, I obviously had Adrian Clark on.
Oh, Adrian was there, wasn't he? Yeah.
And we had he and Kelly and I and Jules via Zoom had a long chat about Arsenal because obviously them two are big Arsenal fans. And Adrian was very positive about Ødegaard, about the impact that the captaincy would have on him, about the way that he might play this year in a way that he didn't necessarily play last year, and being more attacking, more of a playmaker role. And actually it was quite a compelling argument to the point where I was like, well, okay, interesting, because obviously he comes in at the same price point as Rashford, which is a position in the pitch where I think there is some good differentials to be had. So I think he's another one that if you can find a little bit more money, it's only 0.5 and you've got that in the bank, I would much prefer Ødegaard over Martinelli. I'm not really sold. I think there are other players down there, like I say, that you could go to instead.
Okay, all right, yeah, certainly not locked in for me. Certainly one that I'm keeping an eye on. But there's my watch list. So Son and Kane definitely the problem, right? That's somehow got to fix that, and it could be that Haaland is the one that makes way, and I just go with no City attack.
That also feels horrible, doesn't it?
For the first maybe game week, and then I assess it in game week 2. It's difficult. Maddison, we've discussed briefly before. I do think that he's a nice pick. He's having a good pre-season. Rodgers absolutely bigging him up left, right and centre, talking about the fact he looks fitter and better and everything. He's just going to have a big season and looks, in his prime.
Newcastle in for him, didn't you tell me?
I think Newcastle tried to bid 40 mil. I think I saw on Twitter, and I think it's been rejected.
Well, I'm not surprised it's been rejected.
Yeah, keep an eye on that one. But he could be interesting if he goes to Newcastle. Robert, we've talked about, and Bruno still on my watch list, right? I mean, for those of you that were here 2 weeks ago, when I had version 1 of my draft, I did have Bruno Fernandes in it. I think based on what I've seen now in pre-season, I like Manchester United. I think he's doing good things there, Erik ten Hag.
He's a great
manager. I just think that 10 million is, if I'm going to pick a Man United midfielder, which does still feel a little bit of a risk based on what we saw last season, I'd rather take a risk on 6.5 than on 10 million. I don't know if you can make a 10 million risk. And by the way, I'm fully prepared for Bruno to smash it up in the first game against Brighton, because that's what he can do.
But we go back to what I said before. You are going, every single FPL manager this year will have to get used to sitting down on a Saturday and watching Soccer Saturday, watching Match of the Day, watching the Sunday
and missing out on some points.
And know that here comes Haaland and I don't own him. Here comes Bruno Fernandes and I don't own him. Here comes whoever it is at Chelsea that bangs, Mount, Sterling, and I don't own him. But I've got these guys who I have to budget that they will get as many returns, and then know that we can switch if we aren't seeing the consistent performances. The premiums have to consistently perform this year. Otherwise, they will be easily moved to another premium.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where the benefit comes of having some in the bank.
So there we go. The team is starting to feel a bit more locked in, without a shadow of a doubt. And
how many do you reckon are locked?
Listen, I love you, Mark, and we're good friends with Mark, aren't we? But I just don't see the no Salah. I mean, I'm 100% having him, no question. And I love and appreciate that Mark's playing the game differently this year, because that's what he wants to do. But no way am I not having him. No way am I not having Jesus. He's going to be in there. I think Rashford and Trent and Cancelo and Trippier. I think my back line's pretty sorted. But it's the Martinellis. I think I'm going to have Bailey, I think I'm going to have Bailey.
I'm going to have Bailey.
I just think if you can squeeze an extra 0.5, listen, you can always go down to a Pereira or a Da Silva. He's the other one that I thought you'd be mocking me for, because I was so high on Josh Da Silva 2 weeks ago, and now he's not in my team.
I'm still mocking you for the fact that you think there's a template, and you look at those two teams that we've created.
I know.
They're not anything alike.
I'm pretty sure Nico's going to be 4.0. I can't see that changing.
Well, but that's inevitable.
Yeah.
But whoever the 4.0 is, it's inevitable that everyone has him.
What about Ward in goal there? So I've got him as a 4.0 bit of bench fodder.
Well,
but if Schmeichel leaves, which I'm finding very hard to digest, by the way. I'm finding that hard to understand.
Are you? Think about Schmeichel.
Yeah.
At Leicester.
Not that young anymore, is he, Kasper Schmeichel?
I don't know how young he is. I mean, he looks about 3 still. He's so they're
got
so
baby
fresh
face,
faced,
hasn't he?
haven't they? Won the league, won the Premier League,
yeah.
won the FA Cup.
New challenge, maybe.
What has he got to achieve left at Leicester?
I thought he was Leicester
Sorry,
through and through,
Leicester,
though.
really, I hate saying that because it's a
He's
horrible
Leicester
thing to
through and through.
But he's not born and bred in the UK, is he? Like, apart from obviously when his dad was at United for all those years. But, you know...
Can I ask you a question then?
Go on.
So, what's the impact on the dressing room? Big character.
Well, not only
Big
that...
character,
there's a hell
Michael.
of a lot going on at Leicester at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of changes there. Like, you've got a lot of changes going on in that dressing room. More than that, you've then got what's going on in Vardy's personal life. Oh my goodness, that's hitting the roof. So you've got all of that going off. Plus you've got this then bids on the main man in goal. I'm not as keen on the Maddison pick as a lot of you are, because I worry about Leicester and how settled they are at the moment. They had a very bad season last year. They weren't good.
They did.
And I'm not sure that I've seen much from them in pre-season that makes me think they're going to be good.
A few of you saying that Everson played for Leicester and go on a couple of pre-season friendlies. So there's my Ward dream, gone up in smoke already. And FPL Harry, hey Harry, how we doing, mate? Hope to see you next Friday. Is saying Schmeichel won't leave unless they find a replacement. No, they've been linked with Leno, haven't they? I think from Arsenal.
They have been linked with Leno,
so
which also would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could be interesting. But anyway, as Sai Burdett is saying, yeah, Leicester aren't as financially secure as they were. Yes, I agree. I also think the same about Wolves, by the way. I think the Jimenez injury is big. I think it's big. So they've got. So for any of you that missed that, I think Jimenez has done a
out for a month, right?
Knee or something. I don't know. What's he done? Anyway, he's out for a month or so. That's gonna hurt them in a. They need to get off to a good start, Wolves. Right? If you see their fixtures, they got good opening fixtures. Have they got good opening fixtures? Let's have a look.
Yeah,
at
they
fixtures.
have. Yeah, they have.
Leeds, Fulham, Spurs, Newcastle. Yeah. So apart from that Spurs game, they do look as if. Are you going to that game? Yeah. They do have some good looking fixtures. They need to get off to a good start. But actually, that first 6 weeks there. No Jimenez probably for a lot of that. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them, I think.
I agree.
And they've got financial difficulties outside. I'm not at all getting, and I don't want to go off on another tangent because we've got to wrap up the live stream. But and there's Ken's. Thank you, Ken's, for the super chat. Looks like Leno's going to Fulham. Actually, Leno just signed for Fulham. Trust is saying. So there we go. Leicester potentially not getting Leno then, or certainly be looking elsewhere. But Wolves, listen. I think they're in for a tough year. Wolves. Financially, they right. I'm going off at a tangent, but I'm going to do it because as we finish up the stream, why the hell would you let Fabio Silva go out on loan without having a replacement coming in? That is so risky.
It's wage, surely.
And then Jimenez goes and get done his knee, and now they're stuck.
Yeah, but
who's playing up front? Huang? Don't give me that.
But they've got financial problems, have they not? Have I made that up?
No, massively. No, they have massively.
So
the family that owns Wolves is in problems. They've got debt.
Right, I thought that's right. So
they need him off the wage bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in for a tough season, Wolves. I'm sorry, Wolves fans, and by the way, I say sorry, Wolves fans. I think most of them would agree from what I've seen. Right, most of them would agree. But
before you sign off, we've got to do Team Sam versus Team Lee.
We've got to do Team Sam versus Team Lee. So let's do that now, Sam. Let's do that. Let's go to where's my main page? There it is. So guys, the one thing we didn't do when we did predictions. So grab the community's piece of paper again.
As well, won't you? That's
I'll get my piece of paper. That's mine. The one thing we didn't do when we did our predictions earlier was write down who do you think is going to win FPL this season.
Hashtag.
Or not win. Who's going to do better? Because neither of us are bloody going to win it. I'll tell you that much.
Excuse me?
Who's going to... You think you're going to win FPL?
Why not?
Good bloody luck with that.
Back yourself, Lee.
What, to win FPL?
Why'd you play if you don't think you can win?
Okay, who is going to do better?
No, I'm sorry.
in
That's
FPL
right.
this season?
You have to go into the season thinking you can win.
All right, Sam.
Back
all right.
yourself.
Right, you can definitely win FPL.
You
right.
can't. You can come second.
I definitely can't win FPL. 100% not. Who do you guys think is going to win between the Battle of the Bombfields? Is it hashtag Team Lee or is it hashtag Team Sam? Need I remind you that I am the reigning champion in this household? It's the first win I've had in a few seasons.
5, actually, to be precise.
This is our 6th season of FPL Family. You've won it 4 times and I've won it once, I think.
That's correct.
So now we are in season 6 of FPL Family. Who is going to be the winner of season 6 of FPL Family?
Hashtag Team Lee, I'm going to be raging.
I'm going to write who I think is going to win.
I've written the hashtag. I'm waiting for now what they're going to say.
I'm going to put that on the piece of paper. I've written who I think. Paul Cook is saying always hashtag Team Sam. Duncan Crawford, who I know
Duncan,
I know is hashtag Team Sam. We haven't even got to ask him. You know what? Do you know what side of Duncan's bread is
last time we
buttered?
went to Fest, Duncan brought me some Jaffa cake.
I bet he did. Yeah, I bet he did. He's Team Sam all the time, is Duncan. One day, Duncan, he will be hashtag Team Lee. But Barney is hashtag Team Lee. Adam, Team Sam. There we go. Of course, quite mixed this, Sam. It's quite mixed. Raheem Khan, hashtag Team Sam. Scott Schrager, the OG, is in. He is Team Sam. Guys, you let me down here. Lewis Fulton's hashtag Team Lee to win FPL outright. Yes, come on.
If Lee wins FPL outright,
I can do it.
If Lee wins FPL outright, I will buy him a proper trophy.
Can you imagine? Right, just for a minute, imagine any, not just me, you, Az, Mark, any of the content creators, and Mate nearly did it last year. Imagine any of us actually winning FPL. It would be like, oh, they've got inside knowledge. What? Oh, they talk to all the clubs.
Genuinely,
oh, they know what they get. They got. It would be absolutely ridiculous.
Would you have to stop playing?
Maybe
you couldn't. You couldn't content create after that, could you?
I think I'd retire if I won FPL. I think I'd just finish.
I don't know.
Rita Sen, sorry Lee, I'm always hashtag Team Sam. Cricketer is saying Sam. Richard Lohman, the boss Sam. Aman, hashtag Team Lee. Trust, hashtag Team Lee for the win. Team Lee, no brainer, Amir says. Bernardo, hashtag Team Sam. And I'm going to give the last shout to FPLiola, hashtag Team Sam. I think most of you are going for Team Sam. So you guys as a community
love you guys. You are
going for Team Sam this year. It's fine.
You went for Lee last year and you did give him the win.
It's fine.
But I think it was mostly because you felt sorry for him.
I'm okay. It's fine. I am fine. I don't need to talk about it to anybody. It's no problem.
Would you like a kiss?
No, thank you. Right. Let's wrap it up, Sam, because we are nearly an hour and a half in, and
it's also Love Island.
Podcast to produce, and we've got Love Island and all sorts of stuff. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us.
And my legs are gone now.
And you need to, you've been fidget bumming all night.
I'm so uncomfortable. We've got to fix this situation before Sunday.
Yes, I agree. The microphone is in a bit of an interesting
position. There's
position.
a whole table in front of me. I've got no space. I've got this stupid thing here holding the table so it doesn't fall over. Guys, I'm going to put on Patreon in a minute. I'm going to put a picture of how I've had to sit.
This is what you come to expect from FPL Family. It is bodged together every week. Let's face it.
It's chaos in here tonight.
It's bodged together. But what I will say, Sam, is we have got 588 of you watching this bodged up. When I think about some of the content that goes out there nowadays, you think about Harry, for example, on his channel. You think about FPL Mate. You think about Andy.
Still, Harry. He loves us.
You think about
we love Harry.
Black Box. You think about the production quality that goes into this stuff. You think about the time and effort that these guys go into.
Come here for that.
And our microphone is literally gaffer taped to the side of a table. I'm not even joking. It is a disgrace.
They come here for the chemistry and the chaos.
They ain't coming here for the FPL tips. That's a fact.
They come here for when I tell you to shut up live on stream.
And they're going to punch me in the face.
They come in for
Absolutely
the fun.
True. Absolutely
we
true.
bring the chaos.
Absolutely true. Well, listen, loads going on between now and kickoff, guys. Not least Fest. And if you're going to Fest on Friday, we will see you there. One thing we haven't mentioned, and I need to update the graphic on here, is that you, Sam, are on every FPL podcast this season. Well done. How'd you get that gig?
I don't know. I just got asked, and I was like, oh wow, this is a big thing.
So there we go. If you are not yet subscribed to the official Fantasy Premier League podcast, get over to Spotify, Acast, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts, and hit subscribe to the podcast. Sam is on every single one this year.
Genuinely, also, thank you massively, because I had so many messages after I announced that, or after Kelly announced that on the pod to say, like, and I was properly touched by the amount of DMs and stuff I had.
It's wicked. Well done. It's absolutely
really
brilliant.
Good.
It's absolutely brilliant.
We'll be, obviously, there's been 2 already last week. We did 2 pre-season pods.
Is there going to be 2 every week for the FPL podcast?
So we did 2 pre-season pods last week.
Yeah.
Then this week there'll just be 1. There will be an extra podcast coming as well. Yeah.
Are we allowed to say? Is that announced? Are we allowed to say? I've just announced it.
Anyway.
I have just if it hasn't been announced. If it hasn't been announced, there is going to be 2 official FPL podcasts every week. One
a preview and a review.
What happened in the game week we've just seen, coming out on a Monday, I think, and then
it depends when the game week finishes, but
depending on when the game week finishes, and then one later in the week talking about the upcoming game week, as you are used to. It's the one we usually see, but there's an extra one.
So you'll find me
for
on the
your
Thursday,
listening pleasure.
On the Thursday podcast with Kelly and Jules are on every week, and then we'll have rotating guests in So we've had Gianni already join us for the first one. We had Adrian Clark.
I'm due on a couple of weeks. That'd be interesting. You and I together on an official podcast. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because we are actually going to record them remotely for most of the season. So you'll be in one room, I'll be in the other room.
Is that right? That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
And I'll have to not tell you to shut up on that one. I'll have to be nice to you like I am to everyone else.
That would be very weird. The Great Del Mondo, where's the comment? I've just seen it. Yeah, Sam, that's hilarious that you're on every podcast, given what you did to the podcasters earlier and how unpodcaster friendly you were with your reading out of the team. Can't believe that you're on every podcast, but well done. It's good to see it. You love to see it.
I mean,
you and Jules have got a good thing going on there, you two. I like that. It's good. And Kelly in the mix as well. I like the fact it was in a studio, all of you together. Is that a thing going forward, or is it still planning to be remote?
It will be mixed.
Bit of a mix. Okay, bit of a mix. Okay, very good. I like the studio. Look good as well, isn't it?
Studio's nice.
Where was the studio? In London somewhere,
Bridge.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, it was in London Bridge. It was really nice,
Fancy.
actually. I had a nice little stroll down through Borough Market and towards the Shard. See how I was a bit like, oh, this is nice.
FPL splashing the budget for the old podcast. So there we go, guys. 2 podcasts every week. You're going to be on every single one of them. Go hit subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts to get hold of that. Shout out for the TikTok. The TikTok is going very well indeed. Got another couple of 100 followers since I was here last with you guys. So thank you if you're following me over on TikTok. As usual, limited FPL content, to be honest. It's just me reacting to games and chatting nonsense about stuff that's happening on football with a bit of an FPL twist. So if you fancy a bit more of... And you're not involved with it because you hate it. So I'm doing it on my own.
I just don't understand.
What, TikTok? It's the future, I've told you.
Look, listen. I'm too old for TikTok. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. I'm much more happy with my Instagram squares. I know where I am with them.
Good.
And I just don't get TikTok. I'm old, guys.
Right.
I'm just too old.
We have been on for far too long. We've prattled on for far too
long.
Love
Island.
Guys, Love Island is on. We will see you over at Fest if you're going. Leave us a like and hit that subscribe button. Thank you to all the new members we had today. Thank you to all the new patrons we've had in the last couple of weeks. That's it, guys. We will see you at Fest on Friday, and we will be back this time next Sunday when we will look at what happened in game week 1. FPL will be live and kicking. Guys, good night. See you soon.
Bye, guys. Green arrows.
And I am going to turn the microphone off this time.